Hello everyone, and today we're going to look at sequences. This is our second lesson on sequences. Lovely work given to me last week on pages 2 and 3. So I'm just going to first of all just recap, because some of you asked questions from 7, 8 and 9. We're a little bit stuck on some of these. I'm just going to quickly go through this work. Remember, all the solutions are on MathsPad, so you can check your work there as well. But obviously you might want extra explanations if you don't understand the answers on MathsPad. Right, so here, going from one term to the next, the rule here, you can see it's going down, but we're not taking away the same number each time. You can see as we go from one term to the next, we are in fact dividing by 2. So that's the rule for that sequence. And here it's going up, but in this case we are timesing by 2. Right, question 8, A and C cause problems. You are asked to find the next 4 terms, and you have to see what's happening. And if you look with these decimals, if you go from one decimal to next, you're taking away 0.05. So I'm going to take away 0.05 and I'll get 0.60, 0.55, 0.50 and 0.45. If you weren't quite sure on how to do those subtractions, for example, let's look at the first one, doing 0.8 to 0.75, you have to do your takeaway like that. Okay, 0 from 5 you can't do, borrow from the 8, 10 take away 5, 7 take away 7, there. So I can see why I'm going down 0.05. Okay, similarly, I can see this is going down, and in each case I'm going down by 0.2. So I'm taking away 0.2. So this will be minus 2.0, minus 1.8, minus 1.6, minus 1.4. At the last question, question 9, well done if you got this one right. The question says you're multiplying each term by 2. So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, and the last one 1025. And it asks you to find the 10th term. Let's check this is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In fact, this is the 10th term here. This is the 11th term. This is the answer you want for the 10th term. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, let's get on with today's lesson. Using the nth term rule. So this is brand new to all of you, and we're going to look at some algebra. Let's say you had this expression 4n. And let's put in n equals 1. So 4n becomes 4 times 1, because n is 1, and I get 4. Put n equals 2 in, and I get 4 times 2, which is 8. Put n equals 3 in, so n is 3, 4 times 3 is 12. So my sequence becomes, I can see, is going 4, 8, 12. It's going up in 4s. So if I was to continue it, I would go like this, and it will carry on forever. Now, if we wanted to find the 10th term, well, what would my value of n be for the 10th term? Well, 4 is my first term, this is my second term, third term, fourth term, etc. This is my value of n. So if n is 10, my 10th term, and my rule is 4n, then my 10th term will be 4 times 10, which is 40. Right, so let's look at another example. What about if this was my rule? My rule is now 2n. So what's my first term? Well, my first term is when n is 1, and I want to look at, this means 2 times n. So I want 2 times 1, which is 2. What about when n is 2? The second term. The second term, n is 2. So I've got 2 times 2, which is 4. Substituting n for 2. Okay, what about my third term? Well, my third term is when n is 3. So I'm putting it into here. So the 2 stays the same and my n changes to 3. I'm substituting 3 for n. My 2 stays the same. So 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, what about my 10th term? In this case, n is 10. So I'm putting it in to, let's write the sequence here again, 2n. That's 2 times 10, which is 20. A quick way, rather than writing out all the terms, I can quickly find my 10th term. What about if you were asked to find the 100th term? Well, rather than writing out 100 terms, all I do is put n equals to 100 into my rule. So 2 times 100 is 200. Right, well I hope that makes sense to all of you. I'm going to go through a few more in case it doesn't, because it is very, very difficult. We're using algebra, which always is a difficult concept. Right, so my next question for you to have oh, actually no, I'll do this one with you. Okay, the rule is 3n plus 2. So, first term, this is when n is 1. So 3 times 1 plus 2. So I'm changing the n for 1. So I've got 3 add 2 is 5. Okay, what about n is 2? Think to yourself what this would be. So I'm changing, remember I'm always changing the n. So 3 times 2, add 2. 3 times 2 is 6, add 2 is 8. Okay, my third term. Okay, so n is 3. So 3 times 3, add 2. You can see that my 3's are always staying the same. And you can also see that, I'll just get a different colour pen. You can also see that my 2's are always staying the same. It's just the n that is changing. Okay, so 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So the sequence so far goes 5, 8, 11, and then it carries on, and you can probably see it's going up in 3's. But what happens if I wanted a quick way to find my 10th term? I'm just checking that you can all see this okay. Yeah, that looks fine. Right, the 10th term. So, n is 10. So I've got 3 times 10, add 2. So 3 times 10, 30, add 2, 32. Okay. Right, I'd like you to have a go now. I'd like you to try, please, this one. So pause your video and have a go at finding the first, second and third term. Write your sequence out and find the 10th term. Okay, well done, year 8, for having a good go at that. If you didn't understand it, I'm going to go through it now anyway. So just check your work. Remember to write this down into your book so that you have got some notes for today's lesson. Now, the 4 and the 1 will always stay as 4 and 1. They do not change. It is my n that is changing. The n that is changing. So n is 1, the first term. So I will have 4 times 1 minus 1. 4 take away 1 is 3. Second term, 4 stays the same, n changes to 2 minus 1. 8 minus 1 is 7. The third term, I've got 4 times 3 minus 1, 11. So my sequence is 3, 7, 11, and it carries on. 3, 7, 11. You can see it's going up in 4s. A quick way to find my 10th term, I'll just write the rule out again here, is 4, change the n to 10, minus 1. 40 minus 1 is 39. Okay. Well done. Right, one last one that I'm going to go through is if I had an n squared rule. Actually, I might leave the n squared rule for next lesson. I'm just going to now write down your learning check that I would like you to do. Okay, I'm going to leave that for next lesson because that is a lot of work that we have now done. So I would like you now, for your learning check, to do these questions, please. So this is not from the book. I'm just going to set you out some questions. I'm just going to pause the video now for a minute while I set out your questions. Okay, so this is the learning check I would like you to do. There are 5 questions, and I would like you to find the first 3 terms of each sequence. So think about setting it out like I showed you in the video. You can set that out in your books. So you can write down the sequence, but work out each term, and then work out the first 3 terms. The extension is to find the 10th term for each sequence. I've written that at the bottom here. Find the 10th term for each sequence above. I think you'll all be able to do that. Now I know this is difficult work, but I think if you will understand it. Play the video again if you're not quite sure. If you're really stuck, then email me, please. Please don't sit there taking forever to try and work this out. Please email me and I can contact you to help you either by phone or by email. I'm very happy to talk to any of you if you need that extra one-to-one support. Thank you. Have a good day.